It's time for today's episode of the UGASports Live Podcast, recorded in front of a slightly tipsy studio audience at world-famous Champy's Fried Chicken. We will have the latest on Georgia Bulldogs football, basketball, and recruiting. Watch live and send us your questions on the 11 Alive Sports page on Facebook. Be advised this podcast is off the record and not safe for work. Also, be sure to subscribe to the UGASports Live Podcast on iTunes and Google Play.
All right.
There we go.
We're right side
Who
up.
the hell knows why anything happens?
Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome to the UGASports Live Podcast. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by Jake Reuse and Jim Donnan. Of the three of us, one of us has won a lot of football games. I don't think it's me or Jake, but one of us knows what we're talking about when it comes to recruiting. I don't think that's me either. So I'm basically here to drink beer and bring the show in and out. You're watching the UGASports Live Podcast here at Champy's on Baxter Street. Champy's, the home of the 4-year-in-a-row award for Best Fried Chicken.
That's awesome.
So they got the Reader's Choice Award from the Athens Banner Herald, 4 for 4. They've been open 4 years. They've won this award for the Best Fried Chicken 4 times in a row. I don't know how you do that. You come in as a freshman and pull it off. It's
that's a 4-year starter, Heisman winner every year.
That's Aaron Murray quality work right there.
Yeah, and listen, they got it on lock here. And realistically, have you ever met anybody who's said anything otherwise who's eaten here?
No. And we had a lot of people come in on the off week. They said, hey, it's off week. I'm still going to come by and pick up they came by and had the fried chicken. They had the sausage, cheese, and pickle plate. So we had a lot of people swing by here. And, of course, all of our other sponsors. We had folks go out to Athens Ford. We've had folks call up Aaron Overhead Doors. We had folks go to Your Pie. Your Pie's got a new pizza. We'll tell you about that later in the show. Of course, a lot of people went out to Academia. Smart of them. I'm having the Hunker Down Brown, so y'all excuse me.
Little IQ IPA for me today.
And nobody went out to Cable East because you really can't go out there and buy anything from them. But if you see Robert Wall running around, give him a shout-out for us. And we did have some folks. I saw a lot of people buying some stuff from 365 Game Day where you can get all your Georgia gear. So shout-out to those folks, everybody who sponsored the show. It is the Georgia-Florida week. It is the time for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. That is what it has been to us. Actually, you can even get a T-shirt on our website that says that because we're not into the whole PC
the war for the ore.
The giant, what is it, Okefenokee ore or whatever? Yeah, it's a cocktail party, And if you can't handle your beer and can't handle your liquor, then don't go. It's not. The rest of us shouldn't have to change the branding because
right.
You don't know how to drink.
Do you remember? Everybody knows what the world's largest outdoor cocktail party is. Without question. That's a rhetorical question. But you know what the smallest world's outdoor cocktail party was?
No, sir.
The Georgia Tech Wake Forest championship game for the ACC.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah,
that was a small one there.
You remember when they were they did I think they had the blimp or something. They did the fly over the stadium. That was atrocious.
You should have seen the cocktail party before. Got to get a laugh in.
I'm not. I would be laughing, but I just remember looking at the video of that first year. I think wasn't it the first ACC championship?
Yeah, it was a small crowd.
That was brutal. Yeah. I almost felt bad for the Techies. Not too bad, though. Anyway, we got a great show for you. We're going to talk a lot about Georgia, Florida. We talk a lot about the state of the Bulldogs. Now, I'm going to start off with a question. If you have questions, go ahead and put them on that 11 Live page. Also, go ahead and share it. Thanks to 11 Live for letting us be on their page. The least we can do is ask you to like their page and to share this podcast with your friends. We'd greatly appreciate it. Before we get to the questions from our listeners, Coach, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about coaching in the Georgia-Florida game? You got a 50-50 split between the fan base. I know a lot of Georgia fans say it favors Florida because it's in Florida and they don't have to travel as far, whereas Georgia has to fly down. But then the counter to that is, look, it's 50-50 fans. You don't have a home crowd advantage. You have maybe a home state advantage, but you've coached in it. You've been there. Tell us what the difference is.
Yeah, I think the major advantage is lost a little bit now from the standpoint that Florida had to travel, where they only have to go, small bus ride. And we used to have to bus over to Atlanta and then fly down and then bus in and everything. And it was about a 4-hour trip. But now with the new airport situation out here, you can get on 2 small planes and fly right in there. And it's not near as difficult a trip, particularly coming back. because after the game, by the time you do all the interviews and all that, it's just a late night situation. But I would say that negative it's been, you don't have that anymore. But, there's a lot to say about playing on your campus. There's no question about that. But just being involved with it, how many people the game means so much historically to their families, and then it's carried on down through generations that it's just a big deal to go down there and enjoy being with the other Georgia fans and getting after Florida back and forth. And it's just a way of life for people, so it's hard to change that. Plus the monetary situation, what you get out of it enhances the rest of your programs. It's just a good money situation. So, there's no way to sugarcoat it. I like playing at home as much as anything, but I also enjoyed the game from that standpoint because your fans like it, and that's what counts. I mean, the team's first, but the fans are important too. And, everybody, some people leave on Sunday before, some people leaving today, tomorrow, but it's just an unbelievable atmosphere, and, you don't even have a clue how much it means to you as a player or coach to come out on the field and play in that kind of venue. I mean, it's a lifetime experience to play in a game like that.
So people leave about as early as Jake did for New Orleans.
You're leaving tomorrow.
But that's because I'm not going straight to the Georgia-Florida festivities.
Are you speaking somewhere?
I am speaking Wednesday to the Valdosta Bulldog Club. So
if you're in
I tell you, they love you down there, don't they?
They do.
I mean, you guys are joined at the hip.
The Azalea
They're going to be waiting for you.
Club.
You're going to have some tough questions, man.
He got the wool pulled down.
No, I'm asking you now so I know what to say tomorrow
they're going to be waiting for you to get out of the
He's
car.
He's just going to show a replay.
A lot of times a lot of times you get out of the car when you're
Give me my check. Here's our show from yesterday.
A lot of times you get out of the car when you're going to one of those confines like that, and people are, hey, come on in, Roddy. Hey, they're going to be asking you before you even get out of the car. What's going on? Blah, blah, blah,
we have had that. That has been the case at some of them. You have a Macon Touchdown Club meeting to speak to, correct?
Yeah. Try to go to a couple of those every once in a while, but going down there next Monday night should be fun. And I scheduled it on purpose for after the Florida loss coming up, hopefully. That's always good to be at a place after your team won a big game like that as compared to, sometimes you go places and you don't want to go over to Alabama anytime, really.
Well, we'll flip. You go to Valdosta tomorrow, and I'll go to Macon on Monday. It'll be easier.
I think that's I'm not going to switch that one.
Whatever.
I would like to go to Valdosta if I could get a helicopter down there.
You're going to go play 18 holes, roll around at Zeta Brewing,
maybe
out of Jack's Beach.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Are you playing golf, too?
I'm going to try to. I got Thursday.
Try.
Yeah,
I mean, are you good or what?
No,
What's your
I'm
handicap?
horrible. How high do the numbers go?
Really, you just enjoy being in the cart and drinking beer?
Absolutely. I actually played. They had a media outing for the men's golf club or men's golf team, and they would put one men's golfer with three, journalists or one of the ladies golfers. And I remember Steve Colquitt asking me, "What is your handicap?" I'm like, "What's the highest it goes?" He's like,
36.
We can't go higher than 24 in this one. And I'm like, put me down for that. And then we had Hudson Swafford join us halfway through.
You're the designated putter that week?
I was, yes.
They sent him to a putt-putt course.
Yeah, exactly. We had a fantastic female golfer. It's going to drive me crazy because I can't think of her name right now. But about halfway through, Hudson Swafford joined us. We were playing best ball. And with him hitting, her putting it 2 feet from the pin, me knocking it in and getting 2 strokes a hole, we didn't even turn in a card. It would have been fair.
Taylor Leon?
There you go.
There you go.
These people here are too quick.
Yeah, see, thanks, Dave. I was thinking it was Taylor back there.
Oh, that was Dave. Way to go, Dave.
Yeah, Dave's going to help us out.
Always got some good scoop for us. All right, we got a lot of questions coming in early on here. I think that this is a really good one to talk about this past week because obviously Georgia was on the bye, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't some action going on, things going on around the building. So Paul Dixon wants to know, Coach, can you walk us through what goes on during a bye week? Do you think that this is a good time for guys to improve? How does this help them improve? And just kind of take us through what happens when you're not playing.
Well, it is what it is. It comes along when it comes along. Sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's late. But you, first of all, the thing you do is you reflect on the season, where you are and where your team is physically. From an injury perspective, from guys that are nicked up, how much rest they're going to need during the off week, how much you're going to hold them out, and, how much you're going to push them. And then you look at what's been good for you, analyze, and do a lot of self-reflection on your 3 phases. And from our team perspective, basically they went through a Sunday routine like they always do, which is a voluntary lift and some stretch, and then Monday very, very less practice than normal, I think, just because you really want to reflect on some things staff-wise and team-wise, more meeting, walkthroughs, stretching and all. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are set up to get ready for your next opponent. It's not necessarily Florida. So Tuesday and Wednesday, they probably looked at a little bit of everything that Kentucky does, also Tech and Auburn, see what they do, just so you can get your scout teams ready. And then Wednesday had a pretty good practice doing the same thing, but going against each other more, trying to go good on good to try to keep that kind of buzz going with your team where you're ready to go. And then Thursday, restart the Florida process where you got a kickstart on getting ready for the Gators. And then Friday and Saturday, which most teams do, they gave the team off where they could, close enough they could go home. A lot of kids from further away go home with some of the ones that are closer. And then the team came back on Sunday and had another lift. And then yesterday started back on the Monday routine. So it was pretty good week listening to Kirby and watching some of what the players said. I felt our kids kind of got a reality pill in that game from a standpoint, if you don't play good, you're not good enough to withstand that. And we made, as Kirby said, way too many mistakes, and they made way too many good plays. So maybe that'll be a shocker for us and make you understand what's going on.
Do you think this was advantageous for Georgia from the sense of kind of getting some of these guys healthy again? Solomon Kinley, who's been gimped up a little bit.
And Andrew people Thomas, don't realize about Andrew, he's had the one ankle that he missed the game, but he also hurt his ankle. If people were listening last 2 weeks ago, he did hurt his ankle in a Vanderbilt game, and he, toughed it out. But you got 2 bad ankles when you're playing as offensive lineman. That's tough. But he still played pretty good. He got beat one time on a pass rush, but you're going to get beat. But I think just the nicks and the wear and tear of playing in the SEC is going to take its toll on you. But I think the fact that Swift continues to have some problems either with his groin or his foot. This is not his ankle; it's his foot. But being able to rest it last week is going to help him, because I thought he looked good the last 2 games. I hope that he can get to rock a little more here in the next couple games.
Well, and I think, I don't know how you feel about this, Roddy, but I personally, I also enjoy the bye week, and I know that I'm not working as hard as the players are, but just getting off the road and getting out of that routine of going on Saturday all day. It's a huge affair. I think it's refreshing for me.
Well, I'm also excited about the fact that you have 2 I guess the technical term is off weeks, not a bye week, because you're not bypassing anybody in a bracket or anything.
Sure.
If you want to go by AP style, but I still call it a bye week. And you got 2 of them next week. I think it was a couple weeks ago I mentioned on the show, we were a quarter of the way through the season before we even blinked. Then the season's halfway over, and it's like we wait 9 months for this thing to get here, and then all of a sudden we're through it, and, something through a goose, and it's just you're like, man, this is just going by too fast. And of course, in the 24-hour news cycle, we're expecting updates on injuries, depth charts, coaching decisions, and stuff like that. I'm saying we, as consumers of not just Georgia football news but college football news, and the coaches are like, look, give us 2 seconds to evaluate what we're going to do. Think about the coaches after a game. They're on the plane. They're watching for the next game, because the turnaround is so fast. You only have, 20 hours, including the game, per week? So they're like, we got to install a new offense, new defense, or something like that for this upcoming game. So I think having the bye week just for the coaches to catch their breath, although they didn't. And this is what I was about to interject a second ago. What were the coaches doing this weekend?
They were on the road.
I guarantee you one thing that coaches don't do is catch your breath. You just know between July 15th and February the 15th, you're not taking any time off. Now, sometimes like our coaches hit the road Thursday after practice. Some of them actually left Thursday and missed practice because it was a short. And, like Coach Coley went to California checking out some guys. Did you know that?
I'm hearing that now.
We knew they were on the road. We saw that Kirby Smart was checking on the Hintons.
Kirby, was over there Friday night. And then most of them get back Saturday and get a chance to have a leisurely Saturday, which they should, spend some time with their family and then back to the grind on Sunday. But, the thing about it is everybody talks about how hard coaches work. Sure, they work hard, but, it's part of they get paid for it too, and it's part of the deal. You only got so much time to get ready, and that's why you got to really work hard in the off season, studying your opponents, and then by the time you get ready for them that week, you have a good library of stuff that you can look back on your notes and also look at what the assistants have assembled for you, these analysts and all, and then come up with something. But most good teams, though, great teams, you got tendencies because you're good. You know what I mean? You're not going to go out there and out-coach somebody by some trick formation or some defense. If you're any good, you're going to have things you're going to line up and make them stop you, and line up and make them out-execute you. And I think that's one thing that's gotten across to our team is if we make mental mistakes and errors and busts, it doesn't make any difference what you call. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you said about the bitter pill and then, guys getting healthy. In talking to Andrew Thomas yesterday, talking to Jonathan Ledbetter, Juwan Taylor, Elijah Holyfield, I got the sense that there were similarities to that Auburn loss last year, kind of I don't say a reality check, but just they realized that maybe they're not as good as they thought they might be, and they were embarrassed. They're angry. I don't say they have a chip on their shoulder because it's just a bad cliche, but they realize that even executing at a high level sometimes on the road is not enough, especially with some turnovers and some penalties. It's just you got to do that. I think what we saw or what they were telling us in practice is there's a little bit more focus because of that loss, and I'm hoping. To your mention, but you're talking about Swift being hopefully a little bit more healthy and maybe gets the rock more. Andrew Thomas specifically said, I hope we run the ball more. You got to hope that his ankles are healthy, and you got to think that Elijah Holyfield and Swift are ready to keep the ball on Georgia's side. Keep possession, ground out, get out some first downs, establish the run against this Florida team, who's been susceptible to it, but what I don't want to see is Florida with the ball and Jordan Scarlett just running all over Georgia's inside linebackers and stuff like that. I just think you need to protect the ball. And I just had a feeling that Georgia's going to bounce back from this loss, at least mentally, very focused.
Well, here's a couple points, and I'm going to make them very succinctly here. And you understand that word, L-Y.
One of my favorites.
I'm looking it up, Coach.
And I'm going to say sometimes teams take on a personality the year before, and a lot of guys that aren't in prominent positions haven't been called on to be part of that personality. Then when they get a chance to be, they don't come through like the guys they replace. Then the other thing is you don't get tested like our team was last year. We had some early tests. We had a very tough road game against Notre Dame. We had a very big conference game against Mississippi State here that really kind of set the stage for the year. Going into the seventh game of the year, we really hadn't even been in a situation we're behind except 3 points one time, and then so I think that it's a lot easier to hear and for you to be coached if coach is telling you, hey, we got to be ready. Oh, sure, coach, you're just trying to say.
Yeah.
But now here's the deal: we weren't ready. We didn't do the things we needed to. And the one thing that I always thought about any player that I asked this question: are you coachable? You know what that means? Whether you're in business, athletics, whatever it is, the person in authority, whatever that person tells you, you do it. You don't question it. You don't put up barriers. You just do it. And I think it's a lot easier to do when you get beat like that, to understand that, hey, he's been telling me we're not quite as good on doing this, or we're not quite as good on this, blah, 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 blah. And it came back to haunt us, and it haunt us in a bad way. We lost to a good team, but there's no question, looking at that tape, also watching them against Mississippi State, they couldn't score on Mississippi State to kick 4 field goals against them. I just think as good as LSU played, we lost that game as more than they won it. And that always hurts you as a player and a coach. And Kirby has alluded to that. He said 40% of the plays that they made good plays on, big plays, were bust. And we talked about that last week on this show, that you get lined up right, it makes a lot of difference. And, of course, that's your job as a coach and the players to get lined up. So I was going to be succinct on that, but I kind of got off on a tangent. But I do feel
maybe you need to look it up.
I do feel like these are young guys that probably think they're a little bit better than they are in certain positions, and some of them don't think they're as good as they should think they are because they're playing better than that. Guys like Cade Mays, I mean, come on, where would we be without him? Where would we be without Campbell? I mean, he's gotten picked on some, but he's also made a heck of a lot of plays too for a true freshman. And Camargo's got to start kicking a little better, but he's still okay. But you know, the thing about Florida though, running defense, is everybody talks about Benny Snell, blah, 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 getting 300-some yards there at Kentucky, but they didn't have C.C. Jefferson and they didn't have Reese in that game.
Oof.
2 really good players. Now, you take a couple guys like, DeAndre Walker off our defense and, who's been a stalwart, we're not as good. So I think they're definitely better than they were in that game, but they also got destroyed in the first half by Vanderbilt. And, I just think we just got to look at the tape, show what Florida shows, go out there and execute and play our game and be confident.
We got a good question here, but I want to hit over here first.
Real quick, if you're watching the game this Saturday at 3:30, real quick, let me hit that. Swing by Academia. If you're not here at Champions on Baxter, swing by Academia. They got something really cool going on. It's going to start off at with the Fit to Brew class. It's $10, so you can call them. So if you want to have start things off with their next Fit to Brew, it's their workout thing. It's only $10. You can call them at 678-726-2288. That's 678-726-2288 to pre-register. It's 10 a.m. After class, you'll be sipping on your post-workout beers. It's the Hades Hounds Hunker Down Brown. They're going to have the can release. I'm having the Hunker Down Brown here in a glass, so it's fantastic. Also, you can pre-reserve a 4-pack of the Hades Hounds Hunker Down Brown Ale at Craft Cellar app. You know the Craft Cellar app?
I don't, but I saw that they're working with them, and this is a really cool opportunity because they're giving you the opportunity to kind of get some stuff, pre-reserved, get out there, make sure that you get your cans.
So it's CraftCellr, so like the cellar in a house, not like cellars in where shellers see, but it works the same way. So a pun, you know how much I hate puns, but but you can get the Hunker Down Brown through the Craft Cellar app, and also they were going to have a limited number of cans available this weekend in St. Simon. So be sure to follow Academia on their social media accounts. You can find out how. I don't have the details yet, but in St. Simon's they're going to have this Hunker Down Brown. You can get your chance. The game's going to start at 3:30. Academia is a place to be. They do have their UGA Alumni Association priority seating available. It's free to reserve, and you get first dibs on the $5 commemorative Unleash the Beast Hades Hounds pint glasses. So, they have those 2 giant screens out there. You can go out and watch the game. So for people who are not going down to Jacksonville, and trust me, I get it. I mean, if you don't have tickets, it's unless you're staying at Amelia Islands or St. Simon's or something like that.
It's a haul.
It is. It's a long way. So, but you want to watch that game at 3:30? Go out to Academia and check it out.
All right, Dante Edie here, I think, with a very, very good question. He says, Coach, you watched this Florida team play. What would your game plan be against these guys? What's going to be effective, you think, about these about stopping these Gators?
Well, put me on
We sneak 2 more guys out there. Bring Roquan Smith back.
No, I think offensively it's a case of both offense and defense establishing the line of scrimmage. Being able to – our team's better when we can run and throw play-action passes, and it's been well chronicled. So we got to mix up our inside and outside runs, a little bit of misdirection, and then when plays are there, you got to hit them. I mean, we can't miss receivers and we can't drop passes. So, I think offensively establish the run and hit some balls on them. Then defense is create a new line of scrimmage and create some lost yardage plays because they're not a real good passing team down the field. They throw a lot of balls behind the line of scrimmage. So, but the key element in this game plan-wise, to me, is tackling in space. Florida's 11th in the league in missed tackles, so which I'm sure you knew with all your stats. But they have a hard time tackling in space, so we got to create plays where we get guys out there and make sure we put them down. We've been a really good tackling team until last week. Yeah. We missed some. Of course, the quality of their players had something to do it. So, who can put the other guy down when it's one-on-one in the open field is going to be a real critical factor in this game.
We got another one here. A lot of people are saying, is the key to this game controlling the line of scrimmage in terms of shutting down the run and making Felipe Franks beat you? Now, I'm interested in that because Kirby Smart mentioned yesterday during the press conference that this is a very talented group of receivers. They've got Tyree Cleveland, very, very good player. Yes, Van Jefferson, excellent player. Freddie Swain.
George about died when Van Jefferson didn't come here.
Right. Yeah, they got a lot better receivers now than they've had. The one kid was ineligible.
Franks is playing a lot better, too.
The Callaway kid was ineligible last year, but I think Franks can throw the ball with some velocity, but he has, throws some errant throws. But just like anybody, you get in a rhythm, he's going to be better, so we got to disrupt him a little bit. But, I think the question's very much on point. We got to make sure we don't let them establish Scarlett and P-Run. We can't let them run the ball down our throats, that's for sure. And, what are we going to do with the inside situation? Hopefully Monty's getting better and can play up to his ability, and we can, as Kirby said, it's kind of linebacker by committee there. But, we can break it down any way you want to, but the big thing there is, hey, it's man on man. Maybe we can do a little bit better job of holding the forward up front and create some situations where they're just not in a rhythm, making a lot of first downs. And we got to do the same thing on offense, make some first downs where you get more plays. But, I can't be any more confident than I can except to say that I feel good about our team as long as we play our game and don't beat ourselves. If we don't make those mistakes that we made last week, we should beat Florida. But, we can't beat them playing like we did last week.
A lot of people commenting and wanting to know about, do we see this as a potential breakout game for young Jordan Davis, a guy who's slowly come on, made some impact felt, gradually over the course of the last couple of games.
I think you do. I love Jordan Davis when he gets in there and they're able to move Rochester over to that, I guess he's moving over to that 4-eye spot. And then you have Tyler Clark on the other side. And that's pick your poison because Davis, to me, and I thought he did a good job at certain points. I saw him get a little winded against LSU, but he took away a couple of those A-gaps that LSU had been beating into. I just don't know, can he play that many snaps?
You never know about that. That's something that's maybe ratcheted as far as conditioning and all. He's in a lot better shape than he was than when he got here. And he's the thing that I've liked about him, and Kirby's responded about his attitude. He worked on a scout team. He didn't gripe and moan about it. He got better, and and then when his time came, he stepped up and he's able to do what we need: a space eater that can take on, play a zero technique, as you said, play a 2-gap, play either side. And he's a big man, and he's even though he's a young guy. And I think that's what we got to have to maybe keep those guys off the second level blocking people. So, but he's definitely somebody that you like to put in the game. I remember we used to have this guy at Missouri that was a first-round draft choice named Conrad Good. He played offensive tackle. But we had another guy behind him named Big John Clay who ended up being a first-round draft choice too. And, wow. And our coach said, you know what the other team's saying? Please don't let Missouri score a lot where they put Big John in. Because Big John came in there, and then it was even worse. Even though Goody was a good player, good, but it's still kind of funny though that Big John, his nickname was the Masher. He just came in, and our guys didn't even want to go against him in practice. But John had a tough deal, though. He lived in St. Louis, and he didn't realize there was long distance from Columbia to St. Louis. And he came in and said, Coach, I got a $1,200 phone bill here. What am I going to do about it? Back then they did have long distance, so that was a bad deal for John. But I point out that the other teams, we don't lose anything when Davis comes in there because he's getting better and he's been coached good and he'll help us.
I just think when he comes in, I think it allows Julian Rochester and Jonathan Ledbetter and even Tyler Clark to do more of what they're built for.
Yeah, what they're best at.
They're more effective. Just like I thought last year, Natrez Patrick was more effective with Roquan Smith, because the team's having to affect for Roquan. It freed Natrez up to do some more things. And people are like, well, has he fallen off? I'm like, no, it's just there are more bodies getting to him because they're not having to account for Roquan. When you put Jordan Davis in there, it makes that line good. And that's not to take anything away from, David Marshall, who's going to more likely be out with a foot injury, Daquan Hawkins-Muckle, who's in out, So you're down a couple of bodies over there. We haven't seen a whole lot from, Justin Young getting in there a whole lot or Mikael Carter. But for the guys that you have in there that are healthy and able to go, I think with him on the field, if that is the scheme you're running, with that number of bodies out there, I just think Georgia's better against the run. But then, like Coach Smart pointed out, they're going to throw it. So you better be ready to, if you can't get some pressure on Franks, you let him sit back there and pick you apart, he's going to do it.
And, you got to think, though, if you're Tyson Campbell, you're probably hoping they come your way again because you want to prove that, you're
well, they're going to
because
what's the option? The other option is to throw against DeAndre Baker, who has had one heck of a season. I think he just made the cut for the Thorpe Award. He'll probably make it a couple more times. He's going to be in that.
He's got to be careful, though. I mean, you got to be careful. Just because they haven't been coming at you, when your time comes. Just because you're a good player doesn't mean you can't be beat. He gets beat in practice like everybody does, but he's having a tremendous year, no question about it. But one thing I would point out, too, listening to you talk about our defense, if you just look at NFL football this weekend and you look at some of the guys that are shining, like Roquan Smith on Sunday, Sony Michel, who I got a text back from yesterday, his knee's pretty good, so we won't have that situation.
Oh, fantastic.
And then you look at Lorenzo Carter last night. I mean, these three guys were a big part of our team last year, and they're not playing. And everybody loses players, but at the same time, we're going against essentially the same team that we went against last year for Florida, pretty much the same group of guys on defense for them. And, we just got to go out there and get after them.
Yeah, that seemed to go well.
Yeah, and then see what I was talking to Andrew Thomas about. I'm like, did you face off against C.C. Jefferson a lot last year? He goes, no, that was Isaiah had him the most. So that's going to be a matchup to watch is those two guys going at it because you and I both know we covered Jefferson as a high school recruit. We knew he was going to be a star.
Absolutely.
And he is one. He's a future star in the NFL, and as is Andrew Thomas. So that's one of the things we hardly ever talk about is the fact that when you're watching these kids, I know everyone's focused on are they going to beat LSU, are they going to beat Florida, but you're watching the future of Roquan Smith, Sony Michel, the guys who are going to be killing in the NFL. You're watching these future millionaires out there, and just take a minute in the middle of the game, ideally if it's out of context, the game's blown out, and enjoy the moment. Just think there and go, hey, there's my chance to watch these guys before they're superstars.
Oh, absolutely.
Just appreciate what you have before they're gone because it seems like the careers here, they're in, they're out, and they're gone. So.
Let's see here. We've got a couple more questions rolling in. Heath Schoenfeld with an interesting one here. He says, what do you make of Jake Camarda's issues lately? Early on, he was booming them almost too far. Now, not as much.
I think sometimes when you're a punter, and, I was a punter, I didn't have near the distance that Jake has, but I think sometimes when you do so many directional kicks and you do so many try to pin them inside and you're dropping the ball different and everything sometimes, and you don't kick that much, which he didn't kick much the first five or six games. Then when you called on him to do it, sometimes you hadn't had the experience of kicking under pressure, and that was really the biggest pressure game he's had. So hopefully he'll learn from that, but I don't think it's going to be any question that he'll continue to be a great kicker, and he just didn't have as good a day as he needed to. But nobody had that kind of day really.
Yeah, true.
So I think he will respond to that. And sometimes you try to get too specific in what you're trying to do. I mean, it's like anything. I've always felt like you got to have the same drop, and if you're worried about the run back, about kicking it too far because you'll out-kick your coverage, then you're not going to kick as good. So just let it rip, man. Go for it. That guy from Texas A&M's averaging 54.7 a punt.
Unbelievable.
Has had 17 punts over 50 yards. And he's not even getting an oil well.
I think his dad is a jugs machine. I'm just
54.7. Come on, man.
That's insane.
Read those SEC stats and look at it. Gee.
I'm going to go with some different stats right now. I want to let you know what's going on out at Athens Ford.
I like it.
When you get a chance, swing by Athens Ford. You can get a 2018 Ford Focus for $14,000, $13,999. So $1 under $14,000, or you can get 0% financing for qualified buyers for 60 months. So if you need a Ford Focus, I'm going to tell you it's a fantastic vehicle. I've ridden in one. You can get it for less than $14,000, or if you want to finance it like I did, you can get 0% APR for 60 months. Also, if you want the Ford Escape, a fantastic vehicle as well. Not quite as big as the Explorer, but still plenty big to haul around your kids and dogs and tailgate gear, stuff like that. It's a perfect size small SUV. You can get that for under $20,000. So you get I guess it's a compact SUV, a mid-size SUV. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's a mid-size SUV.
Mid-size SUV for $19,995, or you can get $2,000 off and 0% APR financing for 60 months for a qualified buyer. So again, we have one under $20,000, we have one under $14,000. Brand new 2018 vehicles, tons of bells and whistles on them. If you want to get what I just bought, the 2018 Ford Explorer, well, I got a 2016 with all the other stuff. And because out at Athens Ford, you get the lifetime powertrain warranty, which is what I wanted, and you can even get that on pre-owned vehicles. So if it's got under 80,000 miles on it, you can have a lifetime guarantee on your powertrain, only at Athens Ford. So, but if you want to get a new Ford Explorer, the 2018, right now is the best time to get them because the 2019s are coming in. Actually, I think there's a couple 2019s out there already. So if you're looking ahead, this is last month I'm going to tell you about the 2018s. You can get the 2018 Ford Explorer for $9,500 off. Or it's $2,000 off and 0% APR financing for 60 months for qualified buyers. Again, you just cannot beat those deals. I mean, basically $10,000 off a 2018 Ford Explorer is unreal. And the biggest decision I had to make when I went out there was the Explorer, the F-150. You think $9,500 off the Explorer is good. Try $14,500 off a Ford F-150. So that's almost think about it this way: if it's a F-150, you're getting $14,500 off. You're almost getting $15,000 off a 150. Also, it just happens to be the number one selling truck, I think,
on Earth.
Yeah. So there's a reason you see them everywhere. And I saw a guy when we were driving to New Orleans. He had a red one with all the trim on it, and they do that. All the step bar, the things over the windows, the bumpers, the chromed out, everything. You can get all that stuff actually done out at Athens Ford. I'm not sure if that's where he had it done, but he had every magnet known to mankind that had Georgia Bulldogs on it. I mean, he had the flags in each window.
Was that Kirby?
I don't know. But that
Kirby got a 150.
The red truck with the
white though,
and the chromed out trim and all the Georgia stuff. I mean, that guy was repping hard. So shout out to whoever that random red F-150 driver who's repping Georgia on his way to New Orleans. We saw you. I'll try to get a picture of it, but he was driving too fast. So when you get a chance, we got to Athens Ford.
All right. Let's see here. We got some questions rolling in. Obviously, this is one we're answering week in and week out, so we might as well touch on it for this one. Mark Lee says, do you guys see Fields playing more in this game? Hasn't seen much action in those SEC road games.
Yes. Next question.
I mean, we say that every week, but there is some, it's not. It's a valid question. Because,
it is a valid question.
Because it seems like we say it every week, and then we don't see him.
And I know. I'm just predicting, and I did it in my 3-2-1 article. Shout out to Aaron Overhead Doors for sponsoring that. I expect to see more, and I'm not saying starting. I'm not saying 40 snaps or anything like that. I'm just saying I expect to see more Justin Fields because I just don't think that putting him in for one play where he's going to, do that RPO and he's going to hand it off or run it himself. I expect him to throw a pass because if you're trying to do something Florida hasn't seen yet, let the man throw. That's just my.
There you go.
And I just can't see Jim Chaney going, the stuff that worked at LSU, that same substitution pattern, that'll work great against Florida. I just don't see it happening.
Well, usually when in any kind of quarterback situation, reason you make a change is the one guy isn't playing as good and you put another guy in to make a change. But there's a reason the guy's first team. That's why he stayed there. And in the case of Fromm, he's had a great career here and he's done so many good things, but he didn't play as well, regardless if it was his fault or receivers busting or whatever it might be. He didn't get as much of a game out of him. Everybody knows it. He even mentioned himself that he usually has. So that plus the fact that they've given this guy some opportunities during the year to see what he could do because they know what his potential is. So the stage is set from the standpoint of the one guy didn't play as good if you want to put him ahead. But at the same time, you got a given that he usually plays pretty good too. So it's a hard decision to make. I'm talking about in the case of Fromm. But
yeah.
Fields, to me, though, gives you an element that the team needs a spark in a lot of different ways. Fromm can give you a spark too, but I think it's just going to be up to what the coach's plan is, how much you're going to use some quarterback runs, or whether they're going to try to throw the ball down the field, which Fields can do and Fromm can do. But, Fields is deadly on the play action too. So it's not fair for me to sit here. I mean, you guys are more in tune of doing stuff like that. I mean, I just really don't.
Mine's a pure guess, Coach.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
just can't see him doing the same thing again.
It's okay, but, I feel like in looking at our team – it's pretty obvious we don't have the team we had last year when this guy was the quarterback, the supporting cast.
Yeah.
So what's going to be, if they feel like he's still the best answer, that's what Kirby says. They're going to go with what they think's the best answer. And but I would like to see, the only thing that I would interject is how he would do if he's in there for a couple series and not be coming in and out. But that's not my call.
And, again, a part of my rationale in that is – and, again, you have to follow this conspiracy theory, and I'm sure the folks here at Champions have some tinfoil we could put on everybody's heads, but I think that Kirby Smart did not want a quarterback controversy. He has one, and I think one of the things that would go a long way to solving that is if you put Justin Fields in there, give him an entire series, not just a snap here or 2 snaps there. Let him come in, let him play a series. If he does well, great. Then you know he's good, and you still have the same controversy that you've had up to this point. If he goes in and does poorly, turns the ball over, makes the wrong read, doesn't do well, then you get rid of the controversy for a week or two. So, again, I'm not saying they're going to do that to answer the fans, but I'm like, if you're Jim Chaney, you're like, bringing him in for one play just is not doing him a favor, it's not helping the team, and it's not doing Jake Fromm a favor. So let me try something different, and I think, to me, it's a win-win if you let him come in, have a series. If he plays well, you have the same exact controversy you have right now. If he doesn't play well, you kind of tone down the controversy.
You're able to quell
and you see what he can do on a series against a fantastic defense. And I'm like, hey, it's a win-win from a PR standpoint. It's a win-win from a team standpoint. That way, guys on the team that said, hey, why isn't he getting a chance? And I'm not saying they're saying that. I'm just saying if that is a thing, hey, well, why doesn't Fields get a chance? Well,
the one thing I would counter with that, he's gotten to play more than most guys would play with an established quarterback. That's for sure. They put him in a lot of different situations, which is tougher for Fromm because he can't get any rhythm. But at the same time, when you do put him in, there's got to be a point where you let him rock and roll too. So I mean, that's where we substitute for guys from one play a lot of different ways on nickel and dime and penny defense and goal line offense and all that. But I think certainly the controversy part is not anything in that but smear building. That's outside. No. But the coaches are going to do what they feel like based on the practice and the game plan. But I feel like this about Fields, though. He has the ability to do it, but there's a lot of difference between potential and performance. Now, if he gets in there, and let's see what he does. That's what you can do. Only thing you can say is, like you say, hey, how's he going to do when he gets in there? And based on what I feel like he'll do just like Jake does. But, there's one thing about coaching quarterbacks and being a quarterback guy over the years. It always made me feel good when my coach would come up to me and put his arm around me and said, Coach, Coach Edwards or whoever, hey, boy, we're really counting on you. I know you're going to get it. You're going to do the job. You know what to do. Hey, it made me feel like $1 million. Well, I feel like that's got to be the situation with both Fromm and Fields. Hey, we've had some situations here that hadn't worked out quite as good, but we got confidence in you. And if you're looking to do what's right instead of worrying about what you're going to make a mistake doing, don't worry about it. Hey, if you make a mistake, you make one. These guys making $20 million throw interceptions. Last week had 2 interceptions for Brady. But they still won the game. They're not going to fire him. But
he's not that good.
Let me tell you something about interceptions. If you're a good quarterback, you're going to throw interceptions because you don't mind taking some shots. You take some chances. They're going to happen. Brett Favre led the NFL in interceptions, but good Lord,
he's
look what he did.
Either.
So that's enough of this. But I think this is definitely a defining moment here for both these guys as far as, what's going to happen this year. We'll see what happens Saturday.
My take is we see a little bit more Fields just because if you're going to play him, and again, we have seen him a lot this year. You make a great point, Coach, but I think a lot of those were kind of in games that are starting to get blown out.
Right.
I don't think he played that much. Was against South Carolina. That was a big matchup. We saw him just
ran the ball out. But he hasn't really thrown but one pass against a conference team in the last 3.
So let's get him in there. And again, at the same time,
but I think that question you said, if you're going to get him in, so the whole point is, are they going to put him in?
I think they will, but again, that's tough because if you're Kirby Smart, the entire season hinges on this game. You're going to play the guy who gives you – if one guy gives you a 65% chance of winning, another guy gives you a 66% chance of winning, you're going to play the guy that gives you the 66% chance.
Sure.
He plays the odds, and he's going to do what's best.
But I think situationally he's going to come into effect too, though.
Oh, that's a good idea too. Well, again, the situation changes. If you've got a dual threat quarterback, maybe in the red zone, that's the guy that gives you his chance of making the team succeed jumps to 85% versus 66. So I know we always talk about your pie and wanting somebody to open up a franchise, but I have a new pizza I want to tell you about real quick. They have a new voodoo pie. I guess we should have mentioned this last week. We're down in New Orleans. The voodoo pie, it's the latest craft series out of your pie, and it has andouille sausage on it, roasted corn, a spicy ranch drizzle, and Zapp's voodoo chips on it.
Outstanding. There's nothing wrong with any of that.
I mean,
is that for Halloween?
I don't know how long they're going to have it. They do a craft series because they had that peach and peach and Italian ham, the peach and prosciutto pizza that they've had in the past, where they've actually invited people. They have had contests where, because you go in and you can get a pizza. Like I just got an email from them. I can get any pizza I want for $6.99, any of the toppings on it, and they say, look, you have kind of unlimited toppings and unlimited combinations. If you come in and create one, and you want to submit the idea to us, we'll run with it. And they actually have had competitions on who could make the best pie. And then they'll take, hey, so-and-so's our winner this month, and they will feature that pie in their stores. So if
pretty
you want,
good.
I don't know who came up with this one, but this voodoo pie sounds fantastic.
Wash it down with a little academia while you're there.
And you can get
they
that
carry
there.
all the stuff.
Yeah, so you can think about andouille sausage, my favorite. Roasted corn, which I've had on their other back when they had their Thai pie, it had corn on it. It was fantastic. A spicy ranch drizzle, so not just the ranch, you're going to get a little spice to it. And then I love this idea of the voodoo chips crackled on top.
A little crunchy element.
So that
I like that.
The combinations there, this sounds fantastic. I'm probably going to go from here and grab one of those. But if you get a chance, swing by any of the 58 Your Pie locations. Well, actually, I said 58 last week. It's probably 59 or 60 or 70 by now. Who knows? But when you get a chance, swing out there. I also saw Ronnie Brown had a question earlier about running backs. Coach, you kind of mentioned maybe Swift getting a few more carries. I'm a big favor of that. I'm going to ask Jake, you've covered these guys. What is your running back rotation going into Florida?
Going into Florida, I think that you've got to go with Elijah Holyfield leading the way just because of the consistency that he's had. I think that he's a guy who thrives on more. Well, and the more he gets fed, the better he gets. He's a guy who I think gains steam as the game goes on. So, I think 20 is a very fair basement for him, and he's a guy who, like I said, I think even with 25, 30 carries would continue to get strong. You talk about a guy wearing down a defense and getting out there and punishing people. Look, he's built for it, and that's the thing about Elijah. He's going to get in there. He's going to be able to take the abuse, but he's also going to dole out plenty of his own.
I like him. I like punishing guys, but I also like guys that make him miss too. You're not going to run over that many guys. I mean, you can run over a few, but you got to, and he's gotten better at that as far as
more wiggle.
Angle and more wiggle. But I think the real key, I like that 20 from a standpoint. I like 20 first downs. If we can make 20 first downs, then that's going to mean we're going to run at least 70 plays. And if we run 70 plays, I think that means we're controlling the ball. We're having a chance to take some shots. We're doing as compared to, the first half of several games this year where we ran less than 25 plays because of 3 and out. So keys in this game is not many 3s and outs, a lot of first downs, get the ball in the open field of our guys, and then control the line of scrimmage. Then, hey, that's the way, you're just a better play caller the more plays you're running. So conversely, we got to get them off the field and not them get any rhythm. But I could see us running 70 to 80 plays in this game. I think we can control the line of scrimmage on these guys. Well, I know we can. Yeah. I don't say think.
In that case, wouldn't you want to have DeAndre Swift getting those carries? Because you got a guy in the backfield you could throw to.
Well, you got both
and him. But Swift to me is a better receiver out of the backfield.
That's true.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
He is better, but just the fact that you could have – I'm devil's advocate. They're not going to be looking for Holyfield. You can throw it to him.
That's true. That's a good point.
Hey, as good as Chubb and Michelle were, the first play last year where we threw the ball in the right flat to Swift, and he broke it.
Yeah,
and right in, so we could put Cook in there on third down and throw it to him. So
that was to your point. You're talking about the Florida having trouble tackling in the open field. We know Swift is a pain in the butt to tackle. If he has a two-way go on a cornerback or a linebacker, I'm giving him a 75% chance of getting an extra 10 yards.
Absolutely.
I mean, another big factor in that game last year was Wims. Just made every play possible on the back shoulder and everything. We got to. Like I said, when you got a chance to make some plays, you got to make them.
You can't drop passes like you did last week.
Yeah, you can't drop them. You can't overthrow them either.
Yeah, that's true. You got to hit those guys. You got a guy streaking toward the end zone. It's an automatic 7 points. That ball needs to be there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We didn't see that last week. And some of the back shoulder stuff that he's great at back shoulder. That's an underthrown ball. And you can't just write it off as, that's exactly where we wanted to put it. No, if you put it on the other side of him, it's a touchdown. So, again,
But here, state of the program and all that, I really feel like that this Champions Cup here is half full. I really think I don't think we're nearly as poor as everybody thinks we are after that game, and I don't think Florida and Kentucky are near as good as everybody thinks they are. So, hey, let's go out there and play Georgia football. And I'm not just being a realist homer or anything like that. I just feel like that sometimes you get too much credit and sometimes you get too much blame. And in this case,
we got experience in this. Come on.
We got too much credit early in the year. We got too much credit. We got too much blame last week. I just feel like showtime for the Dawgs.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of, if you go to UGASports.com, I just got a note from Trent. He has the PFF, the Pro Football Focus matchup.
Shit.
He's got the grades, so he's going to show how the Georgia players have graded out so far this season versus the corresponding Florida players. So you can kind of get an idea of how these guys have graded out all season. So it's not going to tell you who's going to win, but it's going to tell you who's performing at a high level. So if before you go and put your money, I think the money
scouting report.
Yeah, it's a scouting report.
But I also saw Dane do some projections too. He was listening to the show.
He was. He took it to heart.
He projected some. That's good. He got some good tape out there.
So hopefully he's right.
Hey, this website,
if he's wrong, he's fired.
This website's like going into some place and getting a buffet, man. How do you look at all that stuff?
Well, we do have there have been a couple of days where we've had 10 or 12 stories up, and I'm thinking, who's read all these? Because I have to because it's my job. But I'm like, what person?
That's how I feel. My job is to read all the stories.
But they need to. Are you the proofreader?
I am one of the proofreaders. We actually, thanks to all our new subscribers, I appreciate it, folks. We were able to bring on a second proofreader. Who a fantastic novelist, writes a lot of books, has had a bestseller by the name of Rob Suggs. He's been around I know Rob. Rob's been around forever. He writes great stories. He actually wrote a book about the dog vent. You need
Let
to
me
check
ask you this one question. How many subscribers you have right now?
Can't tell you that. That's our super.
That's the great secret.
The one secret we have. But let's just say
a record number.
And we do have
a record number all time.
We do have a all-time record number. And
so we're doing good then.
Yes.
James Brown.
With an incredible increased amount of competition, we have it. And, I mean, right now we've got so many deals coming up because we've been so effective in bringing in new subscribers. Rivals and Yahoo have noticed that, and they're putting money behind us. So, like right now, you can sign up for a monthly membership, and you get a free World's Largest Outdoor Cocktail Party T-shirt. We have something coming next week that's going to be fantastic for the new subscribers.
You should give them a dinner at Champions.
And here's the biggest thing. We're going to be able soon that you can buy a subscription for a friend.
Finally.
We've never had this ability. Well, we had it for like a month.
Make your holiday shopping easy.
So if you've got a dad, cousin, brother,
one, get
mom,
one free.
If your mom wants a subscription to the UGASports, you can buy one for her. So
there you go.
If your dad wants one, granddad. You know how hard it is to shop for grandparents.
You might want to preface mom before she gets on the vent, but
it is. One thing you don't have to preface and one thing you don't have to worry about is if you have anybody from Aaron Overhead Doors come by your house. These are actual employees of Aaron Overhead Doors. They are not contractors who are working out of some scary truck with free candy written on the side. They are actual true employees who go through a lot of training. So all the new garage door openers, they know that stuff. They can fix them. They can repair them. They can repair your garage door. They can install a new one. If you get a chance, go to their website. It's Aaron Overhead Doors, but with 2 A's. Not the Aaron White version, the Aaron Murray version.
There you go.
So it's two A's. Check them out. You'll see that they have 5-star ratings from Yelp, Google, the Better Business Bureau. They got the Georgia Chamber Pinnacle Award, 2017 Angie's List Super Service Award. They got all these awards. Scroll through all the awards, get down to some of the new garage doors they can install. Because if you think about it, you have this huge front of your house, and you've got this ugly, ugly garage door on it. They can make it so that I was in Lowe's the other day, and I saw all these really pretty front doors. I'm like, my front door is just atrocious, but the ones with the glass and all the metal and the rods, I'm like, man, these doors are beautiful. And if I put one on my house, it'd actually make it look like less of a dump. But imagine doing it with an entire garage door. I'm like, this would be fantastic. So it's not just installation and service. They can actually replace the door you have with something that looks fantastic.
Absolutely.
So if you get a chance, just go to their website and look at some of those doors. I didn't think that stuff was possible. So if you get a chance, and also everybody we've mentioned, from Athens Ford to Champies to Academia to Europe High, Aaron Overhead Doors, the folks at 365 Game Day, they are all giant Georgia sponsors. These are all people that went to Georgia. They're all alumni. They are going to take care of you, and if you're taking care of them, you are helping out Georgia fans.
There you go. Mark Lee with a very good question says, "Do you guys ever offer free trials to your site?"
Yes,
indeed we
every
do.
day. You go sign up, type in UGA30. That is the free 30-day promo code. So you could type it in right now and read for the next month and think about the games you would get: Florida game, Auburn game, Kentucky.
Man.
UMass.
Yeah, UMass. But again, UGA30 is the code. At least I hope that's the code. If I'm wrong, I apologize, and I'll tweet it out.
Email Roddy.
30 days of free. And here's the thing. If after 30 days you don't think it's worth 27 cents a day, then that's our bad, But give us a shot. It's like I said, there are days we have 10 to 12 stories, video, opinion, analysis, straight reporting, news. We break more news than anybody in the business. We break probably more news than everybody combined. We do a lot of news breaking. The recruiting stuff that Jake does, if you get a chance, try it for 30 days. If you don't like it, then, hey, I appreciate you.
How about Jake going over today?
Yeah, what are you doing today,
Jake? He's going to go over to the Hall of Fame and going to go over there and
I'm going to celebrate Coach Donnan.
Interview. Get the pick and put it on there with me. You're going to have 9 projected Under Armour All-Americans coming.
These are the this was the former Army All-American game. It's just the All-American game this year.
Okay, that's
Adidas,
a different game. Under Armour, my bad. But hey, go ahead and tell them. I was trying to tee you up.
No, we got 9 guys. 9 guys today will be down there interviewing, including former Georgia commit Jaden Hazelwood. Ooh. So it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts. You're also going to be hearing from Chris Hinton, who's a big target for the Bulldogs, an uphill battle there for sure. Ramel Keaton, who's a guy who came back into focus after Hazelwood dropped off at the wide receiver position.
Is he still committed to
he is committed to Tennessee. Dominic Blaylock will be there. You've got just a number of guys, very talented players. Really looking forward to it tonight. So make sure to get over. We'll have all the scoop for you tonight.
We'll also have a lot of it at 11livesports.com because here's the thing: we can't put all of our content on UGA Sports. We run out of space, so we will have some stuff also at 11 Live Sports. So be sure to hit the little the thumbs up. What do you call it? The like page on
thumbs up.
On the 11 Live Sports page where you're watching the show right now. If you go ahead and click that, then when the stories pop up, you'll get a little notification on your Facebook page.
Tell Jordan to come by Champies and get one of those.
You need to have a stack of those guys.
All right.
That's right.
Well,
hey, how's it going, man?
Yeah. Why do I never get that $100 handshake?
All right.
I have to give those out.
Oh, Lord. All right. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
We need Coach's prediction of the game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and a mouth-watering player this
prediction.
week.
Yeah. I already told you we're going to get after GAT. I feel good about it, better than I felt in a long time about our team, just because of the reality that we had. You know, I've told you I was worried about it, but now I feel like we understand. We're kind of like Socrates. You know, we know thyself. We know what we can do. And I just feel like we're getting ready to do what we need to do to win. Now, whether it's going to be convincing, I don't know. But I feel good about this. Is one of those Socrates games. And as far as mouth-watering player, you know, I don't know that I can project anybody. I think one of our receivers is going to break it out this week. I don't know who it's going to be, but
I like that.
One of them is going to break it out. And I look for Campbell to come back with a vengeance in this game.
Roddy, who you think you got any standouts you're looking at? I
like DeAndre Walker in this game. I think him coming off the edge, making a name for himself, and Elijah Holyfield. I think he wanted a fight last week. He specifically told me that he could have ran around that safety. He ran over him on purpose. And again, like you say, Coach, you can't do that. If you're running at a guy, you want to break a tackle. You don't want to get tackled. But I mean,
he set a standard there.
Yeah,
but
he did. But
you got to get.
But then you
7 times, so we got to get the rock to him.
He's got to get. I think they feed him because they're trying to set up the run. You go with Elijah. Maybe a strong Swift takes one to the house, but just for the ground and pound. And I guess my mouth-watering player of the game is the coach. Coach Donnan pointed this out last year, and I had not even thought about it, but I will take Jim Chaney versus Todd Grantham. That little yo-yo they ran against Mississippi State was the first play of the game.
He's had a lot of success against it, but I mean, at the same time,
things are different.
Coaches are changing everything, but it's going to be.
But I got faith in Jim Chaney.
It's just we got a good chance of stealing their signals, though. That signal there will be prevalent in the game.
Where do I go, Coach? No, I want to know what is this when Grantham does this. I don't. What is that one? I saw it at Vanderbilt one time.
They did it against Florida for their kicker, and the kicker still made it too.
Oh yeah. Well,
I think
I like Todd Grantham.
He's a good coach.
He's a good guy. I tease him because he can put up with it. We saw him at the Under Armour camp. His son's was going to be recruited. So
what does he play?
I think he's a linebacker.
Yeah,
or I might have that confused with Ted Roof's kid. I'm getting all the defensive coordinators' children messed up. But
Ted Roof's a volunteer coach. I mean, some kind of coach at NC State now, and he's like an analyst or something.
Yeah. So I can't keep up with them all. But Todd's a good guy. I tease him, but historically, like you said, Jim Chaney at various different places has had a success against Todd Grantham, and I think that with a team that has more players on it, he's able to do that again.
There you go.
So that's just a guess. Prediction, Big Dog?
I think it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go with my mouth-watering player this week, a little off the beaten path. Justin Fields, why not?
There you go. Now I'm going to have to go read about this on the Dawgs bench.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Way to go out on a limb.
Yeah. All right, that's all the time we have for this week, folks. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday. We will be talking about the Georgia-Florida game and then the upcoming game against Kentucky. Thanks so much for tuning in. Y'all take care.
That's it for this episode of the UGA Sports Live Podcast. Tune in next week for more Georgia Bulldogs news and notes from Athens.